Well, folks, after many years of continual ongoing delays with the KSM et al. 9/11 trials, things are starting to open up a bit. After over 20 years being in pre-trials and what's been going on, and they're continuing to be in pre-trials, and now they're in plea deals. So a lot of what was going on for people to be able to view the Gitmo trials has been out of the public purview. But interestingly enough, just recently, within the last couple of days, Gitmo has opened up their calendar to basically be back to back all the way up until November, December of all different types of trials coming up. And there's a number of other things going on behind the scenes. And either myself or other volunteers are going to be there watching this closely. Be aware that over the next how many, well, actually every day, if I can possibly help it, I'm going to be doing a Gitmo short. I'm going to be doing something that's going to at least help bring you up to speed. If it isn't with the KSM et al. 9/11 trials, it's with some of the others that are going on there. And I'm also going to be having some clips coming up showing how you can get involved and you can see these also. But today I am going to be going over a report that was released by USA Today. And there's some information in there. It's, of course, it's complicated. So I'm going to have to do this in two parts. What I am going to do is the first part, I'm going to basically read this report with a little bit of commentary. And then the second is really important for you to pay attention to because there are a number of things it doesn't mention, things that you should be aware of. And so you can take all this information I am giving you. Please fact check me. You can go to the Office of Military Commission's website, and I will be putting that in the description bar so you can check on what I'm saying also, and you can check the calendar and what is happening. Be aware that for the entire month of May, interestingly enough, KSM et al., Khalik Sheikh Mohammed, and the others, this trial for 9/11 has been canceled again. So what's the big deal coming up in June? Well, that's the point. So this is why I'm going to be doing one of these every single day, and we're going to discuss this. Please comment in the comment bar. Okay, I am going to share my screen while I read this report. Okay, we're here on our website, c-find.com, c-find.com. And please go here to find regular updates. And also, if you become a member, everything on this website is free of charge. Of course, there's no paywall for you to be able to view anything on this website and read the articles and reports that we do. But if you would like a newsletter, please go ahead and become a member of just put $5 or something a month, like paying a cup of coffee. And we can send you a regular newsletter and keep you updated on what's going on. That would help us a great deal since we are somewhat being suppressed. Anyway, like this video and or become a subscriber if you aren't already. Now, on this website, we're going to be going to this report that is put out here. And as we go to it, it's the alleged 9/11 orchestrator is negotiating to release the Saudi official's name. Put out today, which is Memorial Day. Today being Memorial Day and also following a discussion on what is going to be going on here is most appropriate to commemorate the fallen who have fallen for America, who have fought for America. And I'm also going to include the commemoration, those who became the unwitting victims or collateral damage in our war on terror. In this case, I'm talking about the victims of September 11th, 2001. The following report was released by USA Today on May 24, 2023. I will be reading it aloud on the attached video, included with some of my own commentary you may find of interest. Now, this is where you need to pay attention, folks. As a side note, before listening to my read, I reached out for a response on the USA Today report and was told the following statement by a government official with knowledge of the military commissions. He states, Most of the article is accurate. However, the following statement from the article is false. The declaration, which was completed in July 2021, was not classified. Instead, it was posted with other legal documents on the Office of Military Commission's website. This is what the article states. And this government official states counterstrategic statement is redacted on the OMC website, the Office of Military Commission's website, end quote. So in other words, if it was redacted, it was classified. So then just to clarify, I further ask if it was redacted before the initial report was released. The answer was the statement was redacted before. So you can read the USA Today report right here. You can click on this and it will take it to you. And it's a very interesting read. Otherwise, for right now, I'm going to read this. And then part 2 of this report is going to go over a number of things that it does not mention on here that is really of critical importance that you be aware of so you know what's really going on behind the scenes. Okay, the beginning of this starts a long simmering explosive allegation that a cadre of Saudi Arabian officials, government officials, assisted in the Islamist terrorist who carried out the 9/11 attacks 2 decades ago was found a new audience in a very unlikely place. One of the purported planners of the 9/11 plot, now awaiting a special military trial at the U.S. naval base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, has launched a behind the scenes effort to expose the so called Saudi connection as a way to save himself from a possible death penalty. Long regarded as one of the most perplexing 9/11 mysteries and debated by U.S. officials across 4 presidential administrations, the allegation that Saudi officials provided some sort of help to the team from Osama bin Laden's Al Qaeda network who carried out America's deadliest terror attack has been an emotional and political sore spot. Saudi Arabia has consistently and vehemently denied any connection to the suicide hijackings of 4 commercial jetliners by bin Laden's operatives on the morning of September 11, 2001, that left nearly 3,000 people dead. Meanwhile, Presidents George W. Bush, Barack Obama, Donald Trump, and Joe Biden all tried at various points to block or delay efforts to examine top secret U.S. intelligence files on the Saudi allegations. But recently, declassified FBI investigative reports, many published by The Record and NorthJersey.com after 9/11, victims successfully pressured Biden in 2021 to release them, points to a series of suspicious connections between a handful of Saudi officials and several hijackers. Some of the most alarming contacts involved hijackers who took up residence in North Jersey before 9/11, including opening bank accounts, renting cars, and leasing apartments in Patterson and motel rooms in Wayne and South Hackensack. Many of these declassified FBI reports are now fuel for a slow moving lawsuit by thousands of 9/11 victims and their relatives in federal court in New York City who are demanding millions of dollars in compensation from Saudi Arabia. Whether those same FBI findings will emerge in key elements of the U.S. military commission's trials at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, remains to be seen, legal experts say. But the fact that purported Saudi links to 9/11 may turn up during even the most low level legal arguments at the Guantanamo terrorist proceedings indicates that the issue and its mystery will not disappear anytime soon. It drives home the need to really get this story right, says Brett Eagleson of Middletown, Connecticut, who lost his father in the 9/11 attacks and is now leading efforts to force Saudi Arabia to come clean. A legal long shot. A masterpiece of the latest debate over Saudi Arabia's possible link to the attacks is a 21-page declaration the equivalent of a sworn affidavit compiled by an American investigator working for U.S. defense lawyers represented Ammar al-Baluchi, who's the picture you see up there on the screen. Al-Baluchi, at Seavine like to call him the money man, is also known as Ali Abdul Aziz Ali and is one of 5 top Al Qaeda lieutenants who were captured by the U.S. after the 9/11 attacks and sent to the sprawling U.S. Navy base at Guantanamo Bay for military trials modeled on those used to prosecute Nazi and Japanese war criminals after World War II. But the Guantanamo trials have been delayed for years. It's an understatement. Sorry. Have been delayed for years as U.S. authorities weigh a complex web of legal issues, including whether to use evidence compiled against the defendants during CIA torture sessions. Al-Baluchi's controversial torture by the CIA at a secret black site in Afghanistan known as the Salt Pit was depicted in the Oscar-winning film Zero Dark 30, which also chronicled the raid in May 2011 to kill bin Laden by U.S. Navy SEALs. By introducing evidence that Saudi government officials assisted the 9/11 hijackers, legal experts say al-Baluchi hopes to demonstrate that he should be spared execution because others, notably Saudi Arabian officials, also played key roles but have not been held accountable. While it is considered a long shot by legal strategists, the declaration by Donald C. Canestraro, a former agent for the Federal Drug Enforcement Administration, who was hired by the Pentagon's Office of Military Commissions to assist defense attorneys in interviewing potential witnesses and research, represents one of the most thorough compilations of evidence against Saudi officials. The declaration, which was completed in July 2021, was not classified. Instead, it was posted with the other legal documents on the Office of Military Commissions website. Now, that's the statement right there. That the government official that I checked with stated that statement was not false. It was classified. Okay. All right. But it attracted little attention outside the commission's tight-knit legal circles until earlier this year when an unredacted version was posted on the website Spy Talk. Soon after, another web-based news service known as the Florida Bulldog reported on the declaration's findings. Reached by phone in Ohio, Canestraro declined to speak in detail to the Record and NorthJersey.com about his 2-year investigation of Saudi links to 9/11. He did confirm, however, that his research included interviews with 11 former FBI agents and 2 ex-CIA agents who monitored Saudi links to the 9/11 hijackers, in some cases before the attacks took place. James Connell, a civilian attorney from Northern Virginia who was brought in by the Military Commission to represent al-Baluchi, assigned Canestraro to research the alleged Saudi links to 9/11. Connell, who represents Washington, D.C. sniper James Allen Muhammad, executed in 2009, and is considered an expert in death penalty cases, also declined to discuss the declaration's revelations. I'm going to be putting a link to this. In fact, I read that also. Depends if you would rather read it or if you would rather listen to it. I also put that in the description bar. If you have not read it or seen it or heard it yet, you really need to do so. Okay, this is huge. This is what all this is about. And so it'll keep you up to speed on what is happening. Okay. Moving forward, however, Connell, when reached by phone between meetings at the Guantanamo Bay Naval Base, confirmed that the declaration by Canestraro was part of a wider discovery motion by him to obtain more documents, including FBI investigative reports about Saudi contacts with the 9/11 hijackers. These findings could prove to be not only explosive in the Guantanamo trials, if they are allowed by the judge as evidence, but also vital in the federal lawsuit in New York by 9/11 victims and their relatives. Among the claims in Conestro's declaration, this is an abbreviation for you, the CIA and its director at the time, George Tenet, deliberately withheld information before 9/11 from the FBI about a possible attack. The CIA initially tried and failed to recruit several 9/11 hijackers, notably Khalid al-Midhar and Nawaf al-Hamzi, to spy on bin Laden and the al-Qaeda network. That after the 9/11 attacks, perhaps embarrassed by its inability to deal with the growing al-Qaeda threat, the CIA and even the FBI conspired to withhold information about the alleged Saudi links from the 9/11's commission and other congressional investigations. That FBI agents who testified before the 9/11 Commission and the Joint Congressional Inquiry were told by their superiors not to reveal the full extent of the Saudi links to 9/11. That the much praised National Commission on Terrorist Attacks upon the United States, the 9/11 Commission, led by former New Jersey Governor Tom Keene, deliberately did not fully pursue an investigation on purported Saudi connections and instead limited its staff from a deeper inquiry. Reached by phone in New Jersey, Keene denied that the commission's investigators held back on pursuing all leads against the Saudis, but he conceded that the commission's work was somewhat limited because the FBI launched an even deeper investigation into Saudi allegations in the years after the commission released its report in 2004. Those findings, part of the FBI's Operation Encore inquiry, were completed in 2016 and partially declassified in 2021. Keene said he supported efforts to continue investigations into the alleged Saudi links to 9/11. The latest revelations in Conestro's declaration said Keene drives home the need to get this story right. Several years ago, Keene publicly urged President Biden to begin releasing classified U.S. investigative files on the alleged Saudi link to the 9/11 attacks. Just before the 20th anniversary of the attacks, Biden did just that. But Biden's decision to reverse course and open secret files came only after 9/11 victims and their relatives threatened to protest this appearance at the 20th anniversary ceremonies at the National 9/11 Memorial and Museum in Lower Manhattan on September 11th, 2021. Responding to the claims made in the Conestro's declaration, the 9/11 Commission's executive director, Philip Ziklow, told the Record and NorthJersey.com that not only were the allegations of Saudi links to 9/11 fully investigated, but that any notion of a CIA cover-up is scurrilous. Like many others who have analyzed the aftermath of 9/11, Zillico, who served in the U.S. Department and with the National Security Council before taking several academic posts and then supervising the 9/11 Commission staff, conceded that the U.S. intelligence agencies missed several chances to stop the attacks before they took place. But soon after those attacks, he said the CIA and the FBI, along with other U.S. intelligence agencies, dramatically increased efforts to improve American counterterror defenses. The same people who made these mistakes, Zillico said, were the same people who discovered these mistakes and tried to rectify them. In a series of telephone interviews and email exchanges with the Record and NorthJersey.com, Zillico, who also co-authored a 1995 book with the former Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice on the post-Cold War reunification of Germany, specifically challenged the assertion in Conestro's declaration that 9/11 Commission staffers were blocked from investigating the Saudis. Zelikow said Canistros based his erroneous claim on information from a commission staffer who had been fired before the bulk of the commission's investigation into the Saudi links was completed. Zelikow, now a history professor at the University of Virginia, who was not interviewed by Canistros, described the unnamed commission staffer as an uninformed about what we did. Zelikow acknowledged, however, that he has come to believe that some Saudi officials had privately become radicalized Islamists and may have stepped out of their government roles to help the 9/11 hijackers in some way. Such a theory has gained wider acceptance among some terrorism experts in recent years. As more evidence of Saudi links to 9/11 emerged, at issue at the larger debate over the alleged Saudi links to 9/11 is whether these officials were acting with the approval or knowledge of their government. Zelikow clearly sides with those who believe that if Saudi officials helped the 9/11 hijackers, they did so on their own, not with the backing of the kingdom's top officials. I think it's important to talk about these people as individuals and not under the label as Saudi officials, Zelikow said. If they were helping Al Qaeda, they were not acting as Saudi government officials. They would have been acting as underground rebels within their government. And then there were such rebels on the vast Saudi public payroll. Zelikow also sought to dispel growing suspicions based on declassifications FBI reports of a possible 9/11 link by Saudi Prince Bandar bin Sultan Al Saud, the government's U.S. ambassador at the time of the 9/11 attacks and a close friend of President Bush. Zelikow called Bandar, who met so often with Bush at the White House that he was a nickname Bandar Bush, the poster child of the kind of person Al Qaeda hates. He was at the top of the list they wanted to kill, Zelikow said. Okay, this could have been prevented. Canistro noted in his declaration that he also interviewed former Deputy National Security Advisor Richard Clarke and former Senator Bob Graham, the Florida Democrat, who co-chaired the Congressional Joint Inquiry into 9/11, which preceded the 2004 report by the 9/11 Commission. Only Clarke and Graham are quoted by the name in Canestro's declaration. The FBI and CIA agents are designated as CS, in other words, confidential sources, with a number to differentiate them. But the former FBI agent Mark Rossini, who was assigned as the Bureau's liaison to a special CIA task force investigating bin Laden before the 9/11 attacks, confirmed that he was one of Canestro's sources. Reached by phone at his home in Spain, Rossini told The Record and NorthJersey.com that the declaration recounts his claim that the CIA blocked him from alerting his FBI superiors in the months leading up to 9/11 that bin Laden's operatives were about to conduct an attack on U.S. soil. The issue is the CIA and the Saudis have to have some responsibility for allowing this to happen, said Rossini, who left the FBI in 2008 after he was accused of illegally accessing confidential documents in a case unrelated to 9/11. Yes, the terrorists did what they did, but this could have been prevented, said Rossini, who says he still blames himself for not violating CIA commands about secrecy with the so-called Alec Station unit that tracked Al Qaeda and bin Laden and alerting the FBI about a possible attack. At the heart of Rossini's story is the CIA's refusal to tell the FBI that two known Al Qaeda operatives, Khalid al-Mindhar and Nawaf al-Hazmi, had arrived in Los Angeles in early 2000 to prepare for the 9/11 attacks. Al-Minhar and Al-Hazmi were met in Los Angeles by two Saudis with links to the kingdom's intelligence services. According to Collateral's declaration, the CIA was attempting to use the Saudi contacts to recruit Al-Minhar and Al-Hazmi as spies who would then report on Al-Qaeda's plans. But that recruitment plan, so far unconfirmed by the CIA, never materialized. Later, when Al Minhar and Al Hazmi traveled east, first to Virginia, then to New Jersey, they reportedly received help from a Saudi embassy official and a Patterson resident known as the Syrian. The Record and NorthJersey.com first broke the story about the Syrian who went from working at a gas station attendant in Patterson to personally helping Al Midhar and Al Hazmi find apartments in New Jersey. Al Midhar and Al Hazmi both died on the hijacked jetliner that crashed into the Pentagon on 9/11. It's not clear when the military commission trials will begin in Guantanamo Bay. A number of pretrial hearings are scheduled in the coming months. Meanwhile, the long-running lawsuit by 9/11 victims and relatives continues to grind through its own set of pretrial motions and hearings in a federal court in Manhattan. Many victims and their relatives fear that the passage of time will cause the rest of America to lose interest or merely forget that such a great mystery still hovers over the nation's deadliest terror attacks. I hope not, people. That's not what this says in this report. These are my words. I hope that this slow walk to justice, this horrible slow walk to justice, isn't making the American public lose interest, because there's a lot coming out. Please hang in there, but pay attention. Okay, moving forward. It's not really news to me, Terry Estrada said, about the allegations against Saudi Arabia. Estrada, who now leads a national coalition of victims fighting to hold Saudi Arabia accountable, was at home in Basking Ridge, New Jersey on the morning of September 11, 2001, after giving birth 4 days earlier to a baby boy around 9 a.m. Her husband, Tom, an executive with the Cantor Fitzgerald Financial Services firm, called from his office on the 104th floor of the North Tower of the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan to say a plane had struck the building. Tom Strada died in the collapse of the Trade Center's Twin Towers. Now Terry Strada views the disclosures of possible Saudi links to that attack as a final piece to her 2-decade effort to find the truth. Nonetheless, the revelations in Canisteral's declaration did not surprise her. I didn't find the news shocking, Strada said. I just found it to be disheartening. Okay, Mike Kelly is who wrote this report. He's an award-winning columnist for NorthJersey.com, part of USA Today Network, as well as the author of 3 critically acclaimed nonfiction books and a podcast, and documentary film producer. I have all that information and how also he can be contacted in the report here on the website. Okay, tomorrow, folks, I'm going to be doing a short video that is going to be going over a number of things that are not mentioned here that can be fact-checked. It's all public access. It's not classified information. It's something that you can see, that you need to take things into account, and you're going to start seeing bits and pieces of a puzzle coming together for you. All of this craziness coming from multiple different directions, diverting your attention elsewhere consistently and constantly is enough to make everyone dizzy. And so old news like this sometimes tends to take a back seat. But I'm telling you, this news of what's going on with 9/11 and everything that started along with some of the other trials going on there are a keystone to many things that we see going on in America right now. And these things are starting to come out. It may be a slow walk, a slow drip, but there are things out there in public access that you can look at and start using some of your own critical thinking and asking your own questions. I'll also, as I do this every single day, I am going to, on one of the future ones, I'm going to teach how you, the American citizen, can see these trials. Anybody can by going to Fort Meade, and I will walk you through step by step what you need to do so you can see this for yourself. We need more people there. We need more eyes on. If you're retired, and you don't have anything else to do and you are really passionately curious about this and want to see what's going on, it's a perfect thing for you to do. So we'll talk about that in the future. Remember Memorial Day. Remember those who gave their lives for our country. That's what Memorial Day is about. And these reports coming out is also to continue to honor them because they gave the ultimate sacrifice. God bless everybody.